It's Sunday, July 21st, 2019. Welcome to your All About Your Benjamins weekly mixtape and weekend review. And back by popular demand is the video. I took it away for a little while to see what the feedback would be. Was running everything through the Amazon Flash Briefing that you can subscribe to on Amazon through your Alexa devices, RLS Wealth Management. You can go search for that, the rundown. But the feedback was the video was liked and appreciated, so I'm going to bring it back and we're going to do this every week. So let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan in your portfolio. This week it's pretty light, not a lot of crazy events, plus we were on vacation for the majority of the week, so I really wasn't paying too close attention to the headlines. Doing the work I needed to do in the mornings and the evenings, but otherwise we were Lake Michigan having a good time. So let's get to those headlines. First, we have been talking about the Fed a lot over the last year, two, and if you've been listening to the rundowns, I've been kind of keeping you up to date of the commentary that's been going on. But if not, this week we had some more commentary come out that signaled more that the Fed was probably still going to cut rates at the end of the month, but instead of the 0.5% that the Wall Street analysts were looking for, it's more likely going to be a 0.25, so a quarter point that they're going to cut from the rate at the end of the month. So this led to the market not being as excited. They're looking for a 0.5% and they're only getting a quarter. Disappointment there. Wasn't anything crazy, didn't throw the markets into a spiral. If you're following the markets week by week, please don't do that. But if you are, it was down a little bit, and the reasons for that were the Fed news coming out that maybe we're only going to get a quarter instead of a 0.5 point. We're also in the middle of earnings seasons right now, so companies are reporting their, what's this now? This is the third quarter, so the second quarter earnings are coming out, telling us how companies are doing, giving us some insight onto how the overall economy is doing and what the future is, because in all of these earnings reports, these companies give forecasting for the future. So here's what we did this last quarter, here's how we improved, how we did not improve, and here's what we're expecting going forward. And we are able to take that information as investors, if you're going that direction in your investing, to try to make expectations for the future. So earnings, Fed, kind of brought the market down a little bit, but despite being down overall, the year is having a great year in the market, and it's being led by technology. And I bring this up only because we still have some recency bias of 2000. 99 and 2000, we had the stock market bubble. It was all driven by tech, and now we see that tech is leading the market again. But it's a different scenario, and I just want to point that out, that who knows how this ends, because eventually bull markets come to an end. Is it always a bubble like 2000 or a big recession like 2008? No, but we don't know what's going to happen. But we don't want to make the connection that, well, in 1999 and 2000, tech companies were doing real well. That ended in a bubble, so tech companies are doing real well right now. That means we ended another bubble. That could happen, but it doesn't mean. And the reason I wanted to point out that it's different is when you look back at 99 and 2000, the tech companies there were coming to market, they're going IPO, raising funds on the market. It had no business models, had no earnings, it just was craziness. It kind of resembled a little bit what we saw 2 years ago with the cryptocurrency world. It just didn't really make a lot of sense. You fast forward to today, despite technology leading the way, there are companies coming to market doing their IPOs and actually are making money. There's revenue there, there's a business model there. Now, the valuations may be high, and that may be a sign of where we are in the overall market cycle, but it doesn't necessarily mean that these are companies with no earnings coming to market raising funds and are going to blow up. So I wouldn't be scared by the IPOs. The valuations, something to pay attention to, but just because there are IPOs coming tech-centered, these are companies that are having profits and business models. You look at like Slack and companies like Zoom. They are legitimate businesses with earnings, with business models, with consumers, with customers. It's a little different scenario. And the companies leading tech this year are Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and surprisingly Facebook. So companies that have been established, been around, just doing real well. And if you think about where we are in the world, technology is going to be a big part of everything. So it should not be a big surprise that technology does well when the markets are doing well. It might be a leader because it impacts everything. Every business relies on technology in some form. So you're going to have companies like Microsoft or Amazon. We think Amazon is shipping, but they have their Amazon Web Services where a lot of companies host their websites and do a lot of business through. So there's these tech companies that have their fingers in everything. So if the market's doing well, the economy's doing well, it shouldn't be a surprise to see that technology is potentially leading the way because it's in a part of everything, let alone the tech specific sector. All right, so that's the market talk right there. Finally, in the economy and news area, trade's been a big talk for us the last 2 years as well. No new news on the trade situation, but China reported their earnings or their growth and their growth slowed in the last quarter, and you've got to believe that it has to do with some of the trade stuff going on. There's articles about U.S. companies moving their construction or their production facilities outside of China because of all this. So we're seeing that input there. It slowed to the slowest since 1992. Now it still was like 6.3%, so still a high growth rate, but we're seeing that potentially the trade issues are having an impact on China's economy. We'll have to see how it impacts us. Now, the only caveat I would throw out there is, are we able to trust the numbers that come out of China? I would say that this is probably legit, because if I'm putting myself in China's shoes, I would want the U.S. to think that's not impacting us. So the fact they reported some slowing, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but that's some information that's out there. You're going to see those headlines, so just figure out to give an update on that, because we've been talking about trade so much. And the final headline has nothing to do with anything, but this week we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 landing on the moon. Growing up, I loved space, had my telescope to look up there. Obviously I was not alive when that happened, but still kind of a cool thing. 50 years ago, landing on the moon. We won't go to the conspiracy theory stuff. I think we landed on the moon, so we'll save that for another conversation. So that's it for this week. Be sure to head on over to All About Your Benjamins for the weekly mixtape. Great articles there for you to read and blog posts. There's also the supporting articles, usually all from the Wall Street Journal, for the topics we discussed on this video. Be sure to subscribe there. Don't forget to subscribe. YouTube channel. If you have an Amazon device, you can search RLS Wealth Management Rundown on the Amazon store. Subscribe to that. I do a daily rundown of things going on. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's not, but I do that every morning, so you have something to wake up to listen to get you motivated for the day, or to understand what's going on, so you don't have to wait until Sunday to hear this. So with that, I'm going to let you get going. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, All About Your Benjamins for the mixtape and the articles, and I will see you all next week.